December 24th, 2014, from the Thomas Robinson Stadium in Nassau, Bahamas. It was the Bahamas Bowl on Christmas Eve between the Central Michigan Chippewas and the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. So Western Kentucky would get the ball first. They'd start off on their own 25 after the kickoff. And on 2nd and 10 from the 25, Brandon Doughty hit Leon Allen for an 11-yard reception and a first down at the 36. Then on 3rd and 5 from the Western Kentucky 41, Doughty hit Allen for a 9-yard reception and a first down at the 50. They're then faced with a 3rd and 3 from the 43 of Central Michigan, and Doughty hit Jared Dangerfield for an 18-yard reception and a first down at the 23. Doughty then went to Allen for a 9-yard reception on 2nd and 8, and then on 1st and 10 from the 14, Brandon Doughty hit Jared Dangerfield for the 14-yard touchdown to put the first points on the scoreboard, with the score Western Kentucky 7, Central Michigan 0. So now Central Michigan would get the ball with about 11.5 left in the first quarter. And they would end up with on 1st and down from the 25, Cooper Rush hit Titus Davis for a 45-yard reception that made a first down in Western Kentucky territory at the 30. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 21, Cooper Rush hits Titus Davis for the 21-yard touchdown pass that made this a tie game at 7 apiece. And so now after the kickoff, Western Kentucky would take over on their own 25 with about 10 minutes left in the first. They were then faced with a 3rd and 1 from the 34, and Leon Allen ran it 29 yards all the way into Central Michigan territory at the 37 for the first down. Then on 2nd and 2 from the 29, Anthony Wales ran it 17 yards for the first down into the red zone at the Central Michigan 12. That's when Brandon Doughty hit Joel German for a 12-yard touchdown pass to give the Hilltoppers back the lead, with the score Western Kentucky 14, Central Michigan 7. So now the Chippewas would take over on their own 38 after the kickoff with about 8 minutes still left in the first. They would bring the ball into Western Kentucky territory. They got it all the way down into the red zone. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 16, Cooper Rush was intercepted by Cam Thomas. So now the Hilltoppers would take over on their own 16 with a little less than 5 minutes left in the first after the interception. And on 2nd and 9 from the 17, Doughty hit Antoine Grant for an 11-yard pass, and a penalty for roughing the passer against the defense would make it a first down on the Western Kentucky 43 for the Hilltoppers. And on 2nd and 10, Doughty went to Tawan Taylor. He picked up 28 yards in the first down on the Central Michigan 29. Then on 3rd and 6 from the 25, Doughty hit Willie McNeil for an 11-yard reception, a first down in the red zone on the Central Michigan 14. They ended up getting a penalty on 2nd down that moved them back, and on 2nd and 15 from the 19, Brandon Doughty hit Antoine Grant for a 19-yard touchdown pass as the Hilltoppers extended their lead to 2 touchdowns to the score, Western Kentucky 21, Central Michigan 7. So now the Chippewas would take over on their own 47. After the kickoff, there was a penalty against Western Kentucky for unnecessary roughness. And on 1st down, Cooper Rush was sacked by Gavin Rocker. There was actually a holding penalty that was declined. So now it's 2nd and 14 from the 43. Cooper Rush hits Titus Davis for a 7-yard reception, and that brought the first quarter to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Western Kentucky 21, Central Michigan 7. It's now to open up the second quarter. Central Michigan had the ball at the 50-yard line. It was 3rd and 7. They got a false start. It's now be 3rd and 12 from the 45, and Cooper Rush hit Deion Butler for a 27-yard reception and a first down at the Western Kentucky 28. They weren't able to get anything going, and they'd be faced with a 4th and 1 on the 19, and they elected to go for it, and Sailor LaValle was stuffed for no gain, and so the Chippewas would turn the ball over on downs, and the Hilltoppers would take over on their own 19 with about 13.5 minutes left before halftime. They're faced with a 3rd and 11 from the 18, and Doughty hit McNeil for a 27-yard reception, a first down at the 45. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 48, Doughty hit Nicholas Norris for a 28-yard reception, a first down at the Chippewas 29 for the Hilltoppers. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 29, Brandon Doughty hit Leon Allen for an 11-yard reception, a first down in the red zone at the 18. And on 2nd and 8 from the 16, Brandon Doughty dropped back and hit Mitchell Henry for a 16-yard touchdown pass that extended the Hilltoppers' lead now to 21, with the score Western Kentucky 28, Central Michigan 7. So now the Chippewas would take over on their own 21 after the kickoff with about 10 minutes left in the second quarter. They were faced with a 3rd down and 3. And Devin Spalding picked up 8 in the first down that brought it to the 36. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 38, Cooper Rush picked up 23 yards on the ground, a first down in Western Kentucky territory at the 39. They're then faced with a 3rd and 8 from the 37. Cooper Rush hit Deion Butler for a 12-yard reception, a first down to 25. Then on 3rd and 26, an 11-yard run would make it 4th and 15 from the 30. And instead of going for the field goal, it would have been a 47-yard attempt. They elected to go for it on 4th and 15. And Cooper Rush hit Courtney Williams for a 30-yard touchdown pass. And it was now a 14-point game with the score Western Kentucky 28, Central Michigan 14. So now the Hilltoppers will take over on their own 31 after the kickoff. And on first down, Tawan Taylor picked up 11 yards on the ground, a first down at the 42. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 45, Brandon Doughty dropped back and hit Willie McNeil for a 55-yard touchdown pass. And was back to a 21-point lead for the Hilltoppers with the score Western Kentucky 35, Central Michigan 14. So now the Chippewas would take over on their own 25 with less than 2 minutes left before halftime. They did pick up a first down, but after 5 plays, they would end up punting from their own 48. So now the Hilltoppers would take over on their own 38 after the punt with less than a minute left in the second quarter. And on first down, Doughty hit Mitchell Henry for a 20-yard reception to bring it to the Central Michigan 42. And on first down, Brandon Doughty hit Jared Dangerfield for a 35-yard reception, made first and goal on the 7. They weren't able to get in the end zone on the first couple plays, and on 4th and goal from the 1, instead of going for the field goal, they elected to go for it, and Leon Allen punched it in from a yard out for the touchdown, and it was now Western Kentucky 42, Central Michigan 14. The kickoff would bring the first half to a close, so after one half of play, the Hilltoppers with a huge lead over Central Michigan, up by 28 with the score, Western Kentucky 42, Central Michigan 14. So now to begin the third quarter, the Chippewas get the ball first. They had it on their own 25 after the kickoff, but on first down, Cooper Rush was sacked by Derek Overstreet for a 5-yard loss on the first play of the second half. And on 3rd and 15 from the 20, Cooper Rush was sacked for the second time on this possession by Derek Overstreet. And so out would come the punting unit to punt from the 12. So now Western Kentucky would take over on the Central Michigan 47 after the punt. They picked up a couple of first downs, and they had 1st and 10 in the red zone on the 18, and Anthony Wales ran it 2 yards and then got blown up, and he fumbled it, and Justin Shirachi ended up recovering for the Chippewas, and so Central Michigan would have the ball on their own 16. They got a first down, but after 5 plays, they would end up punting from the 23. So now Western Kentucky would have the ball on the Central Michigan 21 after the punt. So there was a catch interference penalty against Central Michigan, and with the return, it was actually a fair catch, but like I said, it would end up being 1st and 10 on the Central Michigan 21. Anthony Wells then runs it 21 yards for the touchdown. It's now Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 14. So now the Chippewas get the ball on their own 25 after the kickoff. They got a first down, but after 5 plays, they would end up punting from their own 45. So now Western Kentucky would get the ball back with about 6.5 left in the third. They had it on their own 30 after the punt. They brought it into Central Michigan territory into the red zone all the way down to the 5-yard line. It was 3rd and goal from the 5, but an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Western Kentucky would back them up all the way to the 19. So on 4th and goal from the 19, out would come Garrett Schwedman to attempt a 36-yard field goal. It was up and it was no good, so the score remained Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 14. So now the Chippewas would take over after the missed field goal on their own 20 with just over a minute left in the third. They're faced with a 3rd and 10 from the 20, and Martez Walker ran it 12 yards for the first down to bring the ball to the 32 and bring the third quarter to a close. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 14. So now to open up the fourth quarter, the Chippewas had the ball on their own 32. It's first down, and Cooper Rush hit Joe Bakke for a 21-yard reception and a first down in Western Kentucky territory at the 47. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 42, Cooper Rush hit Jesse Kroll for an 8-yard reception and first down at the 34. Martez Walker then picked up 22 yards on the ground and made a first down in the red zone on the 12. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 12, Cooper Rush hits Titus Davis for the 12-yard touchdown pass. It was now Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 21, as the Chippewas still trailed by 28. So now Western Kentucky would take over on their own 25 after the kickoff with about 11.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But after 3 plays, they would end up punting from their own 33 as they went 3 and out. So now the Chippewas would take over at the 50-yard line after the punt with about 10 minutes left to play in regulation. It was 2nd and 8 from the 48. Cooper Rush hit Mike Kinville for a 14-yard reception and first down at the 34. Martez Walker then ran for 11 yards and first down at the 23. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 23, Cooper Rush dropped back to pass, and he hit Titus Davis for the 23-yard touchdown. It was now a 21-point game with the score Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 28. So now with about 8 minutes left to play in the fourth, Western Kentucky had the ball on their own 25 after the kickoff. Anthony Wales picked up 10 yards on the first down that brought the ball to the 35. And on 2nd and 10 from the 35, Brandon Doughty dropped back to pass. He hit Willie McNeil for a 56-yard reception. But then Joe Osman blew up McNeil, and Tony Andes, I'm sorry about the pronunciation, but he picked up the fumble, and it was Central Michigan's ball on their own 36 after the turnover with about a little over 6 minutes left to play in the fourth. And on first down, Martez Walker picked up 9 to bring it to the 45. He then picked up 10 yards and was now a first down in Western Kentucky territory at the 45. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 40, Cooper Rush hit Courtney Williams for a 28-yard reception and made a first down in the red zone at the 12-yard line. They then got a penalty for holding that would bring them back to the 22, but then a 12-yard pass by Rush to Kinville would make it 2nd and 8 on the 10, and Cooper Rush dropped back and hit Courtney Williams for a 10-yard touchdown, and it was now a 14-point game with the score Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 35. So now the Hilltoppers would take over on their own 35 after the kickoff, and they would end up going 3 and out and punting from the 29 as they actually lost yards on the possession. So now the Chippewas would take over down by 2 scores with 2 minutes left to play in this game, and the ball on their own 45 after the punt. And on first down, Cooper Rush hit Deion Butler for a 13-yard reception to bring it to the 42. He then hit Kroll for a 35-yard reception to make it 1st and goal in the 7. And after an incomplete pass on 2nd and goal from the 7, Cooper Rush dropped back and he hit Anthony Garland for a 7-yard touchdown pass, and it was now a 7-point game as Central Michigan came all the way back to make it a 1-score game. And now with just over a minute left on the clock in regulation, Central Michigan would go for the onside kick, but it was recovered by the Hilltoppers. So the Hilltoppers had the ball on their own, on the Central Michigan 41, and they just gave it to Leon Allen. He got stopped for no gain twice. Central Michigan called timeouts. Now on 3rd and 10 from the 41, Leon Allen gets stopped for a yard shy, and he would end up, Western Kentucky ended up taking a timeout. So after the punt, Central Michigan would end up with the ball on their own 25, which is the 2nd left to play. And on the final play of regulation, Cooper Rush drops back. He hits Jesse Kroll. He picks up 48 yards. He then laterals it to Deion Butler. He picks up about 10, but then he laterals it to Courtney Williams. And then he laterals it to Titus Davis, and Titus Davis takes it in for the touchdown. Oh my God, they scored the touchdown. And so now they had a choice to go for the 1-point extra kick to tie this game and send it into overtime, or to go for the 2-point conversion to win. And they decided to go for the win in the 2-point conversion, and it failed. And so Central Michigan comes all the way back within 1 point and loses this game in the end, as Western Kentucky somehow, someway holds on for the victory, even with the fourth quarter collapse. The final score, Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 48. So the Chippewas in the fourth quarter score 35 unanswered points. So down by 35. 35 point, well, down by 30. Well, they scored 34 because they didn't get that extra point on that final touchdown, actually. So 34 unanswered points, 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter for the Chippewas. Of course, Western Kentucky went into the fourth quarter up 49-14. But in this game, Brandon Doughty was 31 for 42 with 486 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. He also had 4 yards on the ground off of 2 carries. Cooper Rush was 28 for 45 with 493 yards passing and 7 touchdowns through the air and 1 interception. He also had 26 yards on the ground off of 8 carries. The leading rusher in the game was Anthony Wales. He had 14 carries for 95 yards, including a touchdown. He also had a reception for 12 yards as well. And the leading rusher for the Chippewas was Martez Walker with 9 carries for 68 yards. The leading receiver in this game was Willie McNeil of the Hilltoppers. He had 5 receptions for 155 yards and a touchdown. Jared Dangerfield had 5 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. And Mitchell Henry had 3 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown. Leon Allen had 5 receptions for 45 yards. Nicholas Norris had 3 receptions for 33 yards. Antoine Grant had 2 receptions for 30 yards. Twan Taylor had 1 reception for 28 yards. Joel Turman had 4 receptions for 27 yards. There was 3 other receptions as well. Titus Davis was the leading receiver for the Chippewas. He had 6 receptions for 142 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jesse Kroll had 4 receptions for 107 yards. Courtney Williams had 3 receptions for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Deion Butler had 4 receptions for 60 yards. Anthony Rice had 3 receptions for 32 yards, and Mike Kinville had 2 receptions for 26 yards. And the lone interception was by Cam Thomas of the Hilltoppers. So quite an exciting finish. It was a blowout by Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers were blowing out the Chippewas. But in the fourth quarter, Central Michigan scores 34 unanswered points, but falls just short with the missed 2-point conversion as the Hilltoppers somehow hold on to win by 1 point with the final score in the Bahamas Bowl. Western Kentucky 49, Central Michigan 48.